Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're a healthcare professional with your sights set on working or studying abroad, you've probably come across the letters OET. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the occupational English test and show you exactly what it's all about.
So, let me ask you this. Are you looking for an English test that actually gets what you do? One that's not just about general conversation, but really digs into the specific communication you need for your healthcare career? Well, if you're nodding your head, you are in exactly the right place.
And that's precisely what the OET is. It's the Occupational English Test, and it was designed from the ground up for people like you. Its whole purpose is to check your English skills in the real-world situations you face every single day. You know, talking to patients, collaborating with colleagues, and understanding medical documents.
So, here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll figure out if the OET is the right fit for you. Then, we'll break down the test itself, section by section. After that, we'll decode the scoring system so it makes perfect sense. And finally, we'll walk you through the exact steps you need to take to get started. Ready? Let's do it.
Okay, first things first. Is this test actually for you? Let's take a closer look at the specific healthcare professions the OET is really built for.
And this is a really important point. The OET isn't some generic one-size-fits-all exam. Nope. It is specifically tailored for 12 distinct healthcare professions. So the very first thing you need to do is see if your job is on the list.
And here they are. As you can see, it's a pretty comprehensive list, covering everything from dentistry and nursing all the way to physiotherapy and even veterinary science. So take a quick scan. If you see your profession up there, then yep, the OET was made with you in mind.
Now here's where it gets really smart. The test is a mix of the general and the specific. So everyone, no matter your profession, takes the exact same listening and reading tests. But the speaking and writing sections, those are customized with scenarios and tasks that come directly from your field. This makes it incredibly relevant to the work you actually do.
All right, so knowing that, let's see how this all plays out. It's time to get into the nitty-gritty and break down the test itself. We're going to look at all 4 parts, the structure, the timing, and what you can expect from the content.
Here's the big picture view. The whole test takes about 2 hours and 45 minutes, more or less. You've got 4 distinct subtests: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Each one has its own unique timing and format, so let's zoom in on each of them.
First up, listening. This section runs for about 40 minutes and it's split into 3 parts. You'll hear things like a patient consultation, some short workplace conversations, and a longer piece like a presentation. But here's the absolute must-know detail. The audio plays one time and one time only. That's it. So you've got to be laser-focused from the very beginning.
Next is the reading section, and for this, you get a full hour. It kicks off with a really fast-paced 15-minute section, where your job is to skim 4 short texts and find specific bits of information, fast. Then you switch gears. For the next 45 minutes, it's all about careful, deep reading of different passages to answer multiple-choice questions.
For the writing test, you'll be given a set of patient case notes, and your task is to write a letter. Now, they're pretty clever with the time here. You get 45 minutes total, but the first 5 minutes are purely for reading and understanding the notes. Then you have 40 minutes to do the actual writing, and most of the time it's going to be a referral letter, something many of you are already very familiar with.
And finally, the speaking test. This is a 20-minute role play. You are the healthcare professional, and the person you're speaking to is called an interlocutor. They're not actually testing you. They're a trained actor who plays the role of a patient or a client. It's so important to remember they have 0 medical knowledge. They're just following a script, and your whole conversation is recorded to be graded later. It's a fantastic way to see how you communicate in a real-life setting.
And that brings me to what is probably the single most important piece of advice for the speaking test. It has to be a dialogue, a real two-way conversation. It's not a chance for you to just deliver a speech. They are looking at how well you listen, how you show empathy, and how you respond to the patient's concerns. It absolutely cannot be a monologue.
Okay, so you've made it through all 4 parts of the test. You've done the work. Now what? Let's take a minute to decode the OET scoring system so you know exactly what your results mean.
Your results are given as a score on a scale from 0 to 500, and that number corresponds to a letter grade from E all the way up to A. Now, a lot of healthcare boards and organizations require grade B, which is a score between 350 and 440. As you can see here, that's roughly equivalent to an IELTS score of 7.0 to 7.5. This chart is super helpful for putting your score into perspective.
And how long do you have to wait for those results? Well, it's actually pretty quick. If you take the computer-based test, you'll have your scores in just 10 days. For the paper version, it takes just a little bit longer, usually around 17 days.
So, are you feeling ready to take the plunge? I hope so. This final section is all about the simple, practical steps you need to take to actually apply for the OET.
The good news is you don't need a mountain of paperwork. The requirements are super straightforward. You just need two things: a valid ID, like a passport, and a recent color passport-style photo. That's pretty much it.
Once you've got those two things handy, the process is dead simple. Step 1, have your documents ready. Step 2, head over to the official website, which is occupationalenglishtest.org, and just follow the steps to apply online.
So when you boil it all down, the OET is way more than just another English exam. It's a tool that's been specifically built to confirm that you have the communication skills you need to excel in a global healthcare environment. So the only real question left is, are you ready to take that next big step in your career?
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for OET tips, medical English, and many more. Like, share, and follow for more.